Welcome to Inside Out here on AUK Radio. Another beautiful Saturday here in Luton. It's a cold day today, isn't it? It's like what, minus, no, 8, I think 8 degrees, not minus. But yeah, Junior, Philippe, thank you for joining me on the show today. It's been a very interesting week, hasn't it? It's been the last couple of weeks, we've had some very interesting, exciting, to some people, mixed week with especially in politics. Obviously, the obvious of what's happening in Gaza and all that sad and tragic stuff. But we've had some interesting last couple of days. We had a Trump win after his legendary fight. Uh, what do you call it, statement after the assassination attempt. And then here in the UK, we have our very own controversial first black woman in the history of UK politics, Kemi Badenoch, with some, she's making the news at the moment. So what do you guys take of all of this event?
It's quite interesting and moving current affairs now. Mostly, you mentioned Trump return to the White House, or the prediction failed. I think most of us we were predicting for Kamala Harris to win, but we were all surprised despite the prediction, despite the support that Kamala Harris had, but it turned on that Trump finally won it, and Kemi is as well. I was surprised when Kemi reached to the last stage, that to become the first black female Tourist leader. It was total surprise to me, but listening to her, she was bringing quite different approach to the previous candidate. I mean, to the previous leaders, quite extreme views that were understood that likely she was going to win the leadership contest of the Tories.
What do you think, Philip? Do you agree with that?
Hi all, good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me. Yes, it has been a very busy week. Lots of happens last few days. Starting from American campaign elections to election of the first black woman to be leader of one of the biggest British party. Going to so a lot has ever happened, and I agree with you guys. It has been very busy. This is what we're going to talk about in a moment. Yeah.
Yeah, so it definitely has been a very interesting last couple of days. But I think going back to the key point of this conversation today is, what does Trump win mean for Africa? For us, we're currently here in the UK. I think the UK and the US have got a very good sort of relationship. There are some very controversial incident, I would call it, that's happened with Keir Starmer, David Lammy making some statements or past statements or tweets about Trump, which caused some kind of stir. And I think leading up to the election, there was that accusation from the Republican Party. They alleged that the Labour Party were working, supporting the Kamala Harris campaign. But it looks like that's been brushed under now, because obviously Trump and Keir Starmer have spoken. He congratulated the president-elect, and it seemed like things is going to just go as normal for them. But for Africa, Trump, when it comes to Africa, he's got a very stern, different approach from his democratic from the Democratic Party. So it's going to be an interesting time for African leaders and how they're going to navigate this new era of the American politics, and I think it's going to be an interesting one.
Definitely, it is going to be an interesting one. But talking about Trump criticism, I think everyone had different negative views about Trump, even within his own administration. If you listen to John Bolton was very close, one of the special advisor to President Donald Trump, but they fell out. Listen to even the vice president, was Mike
Pence.
Mike
Yeah.
Pence. Trump did not turn up to the inauguration of Joe Biden, but Mike Pence turned up, and his view was more establishment views. It's totally different. So everyone is talking about David Lammy here. I think the only, in terms of British politician, the only one who had a different, maybe closer approach was Farage, Nigel Farage.
Yeah.
Normally, because of maybe
Boris Johnson was quite, he had.
Boris Johnson was, as usual, it was a bit moderate approach. So I think in Africa it's totally different to hear African politicians be directly attacking other mostly leaders, Western leaders. It's no common. They try to be politically correct because they don't know the administration in Western.
Is it because they are afraid? I mean, with African leaders, and I think that's where it comes down to the power of the dollar. A lot of African leaders are scared of what would happen if they openly criticize an American sitting president, or even presidential candidate like Trump, for instance. So they were, even if they have negative views, like we've seen politicians in America and here in the UK, we don't see that bold approach or viewpoint from African leaders. So it's going to be an interesting one. I think one of the things that I think a lot of African leaders probably will be worried about is the withdrawal of aid, because Trump is it's an American first candidate. He ran his campaign on American agenda, American first. He's even his VP JD Vance made a statement in one of he compared American foreign policy to that of China. Whilst China is building roads, it's progressing, developing in infrastructure, technology. America's foreign policy is taking this moral high ground, trying to lecture everyone else, interfering, and the regime changing everything. I was quite surprised to see that. So does that mean that Africa would breathe? I say breathe because we would have less of this American leaders telling Africans, or not just Africans, other countries, sovereign nations, what to do, how to run their country, what laws they should implement, just like Obama did, going to certain countries and telling them, if you don't do this, you don't get funds. Whereas with Trump, I think he's going to tell them, I don't care what you do in your country. We're going to withdraw the aid. Either way, you do whatever. That's if they let him, lead or implement those policies that I think he would probably be considering. What do you think, Philip?
Yeah, I think what happens in America shows how democracy works. Me personally, I didn't have negative about Donald Trump. I don't know what I thought of Donald Trump. After he lost in 2020, what happened? as we all know, you try to claim the victory. Then the 6th of January came and all this. So I didn't really have that negative view because the mainstream media portrayed as is a bad guy and all that. So for me, I wanted to see myself how the campaign go. What is he going to say? What was it all about? What will be the difference between Trump of 2020 and Trump of 2024? So what Trump understood was not having a very good relationship with the mainstream media. So he played with alternative media. So he used podcasters like Joe Rogan. He used Elon Musk, who endorsed him right after he was shot for assassination attempt. The next day, Elon Musk endorsed him, and then Twitter or X plays a very big role in new technology.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump understood where he had to play, so he used alternative media instead of mainstream media, and he spoke to the what we call normal people in America, as we say, the working class. As we all know, Republicans are supposed to be, if you compare to Democrats, Democrat was political party of working class. So how did that change for Trump to convince majority of Americans to vote for him, and the Democrats, who is a part of the people, what changed there? So I think he played quite well there, which won him the elections. As to Africa, if you see what happened in America, to see somebody who had that bad image in the media, somebody who had less support to win the elections, the party in power to lose is quite not very often in Africa we see that. So that's how we see that American democracy has worked. Going to how African politics will play after
Yeah,
Donald
how
Trump's
his winning
victory.
and foreign policy would affect Africa, a lot of the African countries. Yes.
I don't think we should expect very much from Donald Trump because, as they say, he plays MAGA business. So make America great again. For him, everything's centered to America. So we should not expect a lot. And internationally, he's not a very big player. So he played more toward American economy, American policies than outside.
So is that a good thing for? Is that a good thing for? Should we? Which is African leaders should see that as a good thing. But I think in this case, because they enjoy this aid that comes from the West, so Trump is bad news for them, isn't it? That's my take.
Yeah, this is done for African politicians to see how they can play independently. If you remember, when Obama was there, Obama was trying to have African countries put in conditions, say, oh, we can help you here if you did this. You get things like linking to homosexuality and other things. So if you do this, we're gonna do this for you. So with Trump, is different approach. For him, is do business. What we have from you, what can you give us? What can we get from you? Which is quite different, getting involved in African politics. So African leaders, like we know now, BRICS is kind of kicking. So lots of African countries going toward the BRICS. So it's going to be very interesting to see how American will pull out of this with Donald Trump politics, and if African politicians will switch more toward the BRICS than keep being behind the West as we know it. So it will be very interesting to see that. Yeah.
No, certainly, I do agree. I think for me, what's interesting, or one of the areas that I am more concerned or more interested in is when it comes to the support and the level of control that African leaders will be allowed to have over bilateral relationship with other countries, like BRICS, for instance, like you said, would a Trump presidency mean that, they're allowed to, they can choose between the BRICS, or, I say that, but then again, it just came to my mind now. I just remembered that there was a video of Trump threatening countries that go, that drop the dollars, that abandon the dollars. So I think this could also mean really bad news for any African country, because then there'll be more sanctions, and that would be economically decided to most African countries at the moment, given the height of inflation.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Nick. I think why, as Philip said, generally, African leaders have positive views toward America. Since the post-colonial era, American US never colonized any country, but they came up with different plans, just similar to the one they've done with Plan Marshall in Europe after WW2. So if you look into it in terms of foreign policies, America played a critical role in Africa, in trade and investment, and even in defense as a superpower military country. So most of African countries, because of their defense and to protect their regime, to protect their country, mostly about protect their regime. But they have to be close to America, close to Washington, so they will benefit for defense, military, trade, investment. America has been always the first partner of Africa in terms of aid. That's what you mentioned. The biggest donor in Africa is America.
Yeah.
The biggest investor in Africa is America. Currently now, what people are debating in African leaders, mostly in Southern, like Congo, Zambia, South Africa, I think a part of Mozambique, is Lobito Corridor. Lobito Corridor is the rail line which America is still planned. They will invest about 22 billion pounds. So that train will transport the critical material from Congo. It will pass through Zambia, up to, I think, Mozambique. So that is a massive investment that people, mostly leaders of the 4 countries, are a bit skeptical if Trump is going to affect what Joe Biden administration have engaged already. So America has been always there, close to Africa. Now the questions are, Trump gonna maintain the same relationship, or is gonna change it? That's where
I think yes, it's definitely again something that we're observing. We'll see come January when he gets into the his office, officially takes on his office. But I think one of the things about Trump is he's very transactional. And like, we've all rightly said, he's a MAGA, he's Make America Great Again. And making America great again, a lot of the policies are probably, it has to be beneficial to Americans first. The aid he might decide to, maintain some of the projects that Biden have started, if it benefits Americans. I think he will keep that. There's one of this Professor Christopher Isike. He's a professor of the African Studies and International Relations at the University of Pretoria, said that he transacts based on what he can get. So Trump is what if this project, for instance, the one that you cited, benefits Americans, he's most likely going to keep it, and that would translate to a lot of the other things that he decide to go with. That the previous government have started projects. If majority of it, if America's going to benefit from it, probably money coming back to them, the use of dollars, all that. I think he'll most likely have a more positive policy.
Just 1 second. yesterday I watched Emmanuel Macron's speech on how Europe needs to, with Donald Trump's election, how Europe needs to play as Europe, not to rely too much on America anymore, because they are not sure if Donald Trump will carry on, will maintain, like Junior said, what is there. So for them, they think it's a critical time. They need to see how Europe will play as Europe and stop being behind America all the time. So I think Africa also, if they can see this opportunity to see how they can play as Africa, that Europe want to do. But it might be difficult that for the zone, France zone, that depends on the French politics and the French economy and everything. We've seen 4 countries of Africa almost breaking out from zone C5, be it Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali. I think the 3 countries, they want to create their own currency. They're trying to see how to pull out of the franc CFA. And Niger, as we know, go rid of American bases in Niger. So they're trying to play as a dependent. So as Emmanuel Macron said yesterday, Europe needs to work out how to be Europe, how to get together, not to spend too much, not to rely too much on America, because they know how Donald Trump functions. I think Africans as well need to see how they can be a little bit independent, see how they can play and take this opportunity as Donald Trump has MAGA, like we say, make America great again by what is Americans' interest, not to get too much involved in other people's business. I think Africans leaders need also to take the opportunity in these next 4 years, see how they can play as independent, not to rely too much on the USA and maybe Europe. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. I think this, with in my own observation and take is African leaders, business, entrepreneurs need to seize this 4 years to re-strategize, in terms of the global relationship. We're going away from this unilateral system of global relationship and diplomacy. We're moving to a more multilateral one, and I think this is a time for African leaders to take that initiative, see what relationship, still be friends with America, take advantage of anything that Trump is offering. We know Trump is erratic. We know, he doesn't care. It's about him and his people, and he has every right to do that. I think whilst we see Trump as this controversial figure, he's this, he's that. For me, right now, just like they care about their country, a lot of Americans care about America. I think we, the rest of the world should do the same, so that, because there's a lot of poverty in Africa due to some of the sanctions, current American foreign policies. Like you said, they give you it's either you comply with this, whether it goes with your culture or not, or we withhold the aid, and it's causing a lot of suffering in the continent. Right now, we live in Europe. I want to see Africa develop. I want to see things change in Africa. So in a way, I think Trump presidency is good news in that regard. When you look at how America uses the petrodollar, the dollar, to oppress other countries, the sanctions, you can't breathe. If you don't comply with America, that's it. Your economy is gone. Like you said earlier, Junior, they are the world power now. They have the military might. So, for instance, in Nigeria, there's this Boko Haram issue. They withheld help from the government at the time, Jonathan, because he didn't comply with Obama's, what Obama wanted him to do, which hurts the guy, and he lost his presidency. We've got this guy in government. We've gone from Nigerians are now paying they've gone from paying what 600 or about 300 naira per liter for petrol to 1,003 because of the, and this is all due to American policy. They have to take loan from IMF, and that's what the current democratic government are forcing this African nation to do. So I think the Trump presidency, I am hopeful. Like we said, we don't know. Trump is who he is. You can't, we're not jubilating too much because, again, for him, he's very selfish. He wants his own people. Everything should be good for them. He doesn't care, which is fine. If you care about your people, that's fine. But let us care about our people and be able to do what's best in the interest of the overall population of our country. So, I don't know. Do you guys have anything else to say about Trump before we move on to the next controversial personality of the day?
I think Trump administration is going to reset their foreign policy with regard to Africa.
In favor?
Not in favor, because American always push their interest, which is normal. Ever since America was involved in Africa, nearly after the WW2, America, they always, everywhere they go, is about their interests. If you look into where they are, it's about their interests. Even in NATO, even Europe, as Philip said, President Macron even highlighted, is about the interest. Now it's up to us, exactly, African, to try to revamp their approach to towards America. Why? Because of the rising of China. China is a big threat to America. So I think Trump administration have to reflect onto that. China is everywhere now, in Ethiopia, in Senegal, in Mozambique, in Democratic Republic of Congo. There is a debate there around critical minerals. China is dominating the market. So America have to reset, Trump administration have to reset the strategies, foreign policy with regard to that, because China is a superpower as well. Even though military is no superpower, but they're powerful around economic perspective. Military, they're not there yet, but they're still providing what Africa need now, infrastructure. Look where Chinese infrastructure has been for the past 10 years, like in Ethiopia, in Zambia, in Senegal, in Uganda. You can see that there is a change if you try to compare the approach, American, Western approach to Chinese approach. So I think all those factors who give Trump administration a really homework assignment to review their foreign policy toward Africa.
Well, right. I mean, we could go on and about this all day. Moving on swiftly to the next political controversy around us here. I mean, here in the UK, it's been, like we said at the beginning of the show, it's been an interesting one. Kemi Badenoch being appointed the leader of the Tory party has made it a very interesting week here in the UK. But you would think, being the first Black woman, she should get a lot of support from Africans, from Nigerians, but she's been getting a lot of heat lately, especially from Nigerians. I mean, it's very interesting. She's even, Nigerian political leaders have been tweeting and making comments on her, about her, some very negative comments about her. Yeah. So it's been a very interesting one. Why do you think that is, Philip? Do you wanna?
Oh, thank you. Well, what I think that is, people are forgetting Kemi is conservative leader, not Nigerian party leader. So she is doing what she should be doing for where he is now. He has to play with what is conservative values, what is she believes in, what she has to do. So they have do not expect so much from somebody, so disappointed. If people are expecting so much because she's African origins, but she was born here and she went to live in Nigeria until she was about 15, 16. She came back. So it's not because she's there, she's a culture from there, everything. If she is where she is today, it's for a reason. If the conservatives elected or appointed her where she is because they think she has what it takes to be a conservative leader, to be a leader of Tories. So as Africans or Nigerians, we need to realize she's not there for the Africans. She's not there for the Nigerians.
Okay.
But she's there for the Tories.
No,
she's there for the Tory party to get where to get. So if you can get her, fine, do it. But don't expect too much from someone.
No. I think you're right. She's British in respect of the office that she now holds is for the British people, and rightly so. However, I want to take you back to when Rishi Sunak was appointed. What was the first thing he did?
Okay.
When he right in front of number 10 Downing Street?
Yeah, she did some Indian.
Yeah, no. He paid. It's about respecting your heritage. I don't think as a Nigerian, I would never support Kemi Badenoch. Maybe with the similarities in some of our beliefs or a view on certain things, but I wouldn't choose her as my leader.
But I think if you look at the background here.
Yeah, wait. But okay, no, go on. No, go on.
Yeah. We need to see the background here. For Rishi Sunak to get to where he was, who was he first? How did he get there? And like you say, Rishi Sunak might be different approach culturally compared to Kemi Badenoch. I remember I was watching Kemi, one of the interviews she did. She was saying about African culture. When we come here, we should leave most of our cultures
and adopt the new home.
Yeah.
Again, I wouldn't disagree with her on that.
Which I don't see someone like Rishi Sunak to do, because Rishi Sunak, he was very much into his culture, very much into, like you said, first day he moved to number 10, he did show people that he's from
he prayed in the Hindu style.
Yeah, Hindu style. So this, I don't know what to call it, ritual, I don't know what to call that, but he did what we all saw. So that's why, as Africans as well, when we're bringing up our children, we have to show them who we are, what's our cultures. Doesn't matter where you get who you become, not to forget about your culture, where you come from. I can see last time I heard on radio, some African kids saying about the dowry. In Africans, when you have to get married, you give some money, the symbol to get married, that. Then I could hear some other kids say, no, we can't do that anymore. Things have changed. I mean, these are what we keep as values. You can be British, you can become British Prime Minister and British shows, but you still keep the culture. So if Kemi Badenoch will have to preach that way, he will have to go. The way I understand why Nigerians are feeling like this, why we have black people are feeling like this, but at the end of the day, this is what she is, this is how she functions. So there's not much we can do. That's her.
To be quite honest, I will not blow my vuvuzela to a sister who does not want to be connected to
identify
to us. We won't do that. Throughout her professional career, she never associated to African perspective, to African culture.
Yep.
So now she's in the top position as a leader of Tories. Then we come African, all right, let's celebrate his sister. We got the answer there. I think Obama election have to be a lesson for African, for black in general. delusional. We were all delusional when Obama became president. He's from Kenya. He's from Africa. He's one of us, one of our sons. But how many times Obama went to Africa? I think the first time he went to Kenya, when he went to normal, his father is from Kenya. Then after Kenya, went to South Africa. We were all hoping that Obama would do a tour of Africa, from Egypt to South Africa, from Eritrea to Senegal, to celebrate the Africa Day. That did not happen. Even Obama himself, if you look in terms of African perspective, I think Bill Clinton administration, in terms of aid, in terms of trade and investment, Bill Clinton administration was even more approach, more closer to African than Obama administration. So that where we go. That's there where we go. We need to reassess ourselves to think, all right, is Kemi is there to serve African community, African, or to serve first British first? It's a similar to
yeah. No, I regularly agree with both your assessment. You know, Obama is a very good example. I think we as Africans, we have it at the back of our mind. Oh, they look like us. Oh, they're black. You know, we're obsessed with this blackness. We expect that because yes, she's from a Nigerian background or African heritage, she's going to come, you know, champion African or black cause and all that stuff. But actually, I think this is where, you know, what you said earlier, Philip, I you know, 100% agree with you, because let's face it, she's elected as the leader of a United Kingdom Conservative Party. Now, for us to come and think, you know, there's some Nigerian group that wrote to her and her office didn't respond, and then they're making a big hoo-ha about it on social media. Oh, Kemi Badenoch is this. I agree on one hand, there's that need to respect your heritage, to acknowledge that I hail from here. Without this part of me, I wouldn't be who I am today. So I'm a proud Nigerian, but I have come, I live in England, I've adapted and embraced the British way of life. And now I'm going to be representing majority of the British people. That's my goal. So she can come out and make a statement like that and say to Nigerians, thank you, show appreciation. Don't be like, oh, well, I don't really need to have anything to do with, I think, to do with Nigerians or Nigeria. I'm here solely for, no, I think making such statement, then it's kind of this, arrogance for me. I think it's about balance. It's about balance. It's about acknowledging that, okay, yes, we are sisters. She can't rule that out. She is Nigerian first, by blood, by heritage, even by her name, Kemi. Kemi is a Nigerian Yoruba name. Now, coming back to politics, I agree with her. She can tell them, yet I appreciate Nigerians celebrating to have a first black woman who originally is from Nigeria. However, I'm a British politician. I am here for the majority of the United Kingdom citizens. I will, my decisions, my policies, if eventually I get into office, all my policies will be in favor of the British populace. It's not going to be for Nigeria. Yes, just like now we have Keir Starmer, his office, they would try. David Lammy was in Nigeria, I think, a couple of weeks ago. Her office is going to do her very best to have a good working, relationship with the Nigerian government. Good trade, investments, look at, some positive ways. She can sort of break it down like this rather than coming out and disassociating herself, making bold statements. And, there's something she said if I can remember, about I think she said something in the lines of I don't want to go back.
I'm not here to represent the black community.
Not even that. So she did.
She does not believe in black community. She does not believe black community being lots of black people together to decide for black.
To be honest, I'm half and half with her on that. If you are in the UK, you are representing the United Kingdom. That includes an Irish person who lives in the United. That includes a Nigerian. That includes an Indian. That includes a British person. So we know this idea that because you're there, so you need to focus or make sure that you cater specially for the African community. I don't think that's fair, because if a white person should do that, the black people are the ones that would, or they'll go, start making noise, black dudes, racism. So I am for a statement. I agree with her on that. Because if Keir Starmer should come out now, let's be honest, and say, and you have a group of white people that come and say, white Keir Starmer for white people, the white community, this, trust me, you would have likes of Dawn Butler hold Keir Starmer and call him a racist and say you're promoting segregation, you're doing all that. So why do black people do that? But that's another conversation for another day.
That's 1 second,
so,
Neka.
Yeah.
That's 1 second. When we're talking about the community, because we're living in a foreign country, we live in a foreign land. This is their country. They will not. I don't think they will be talking about community. If you go to Nigeria, for example, you might find an English community in British community in Nigeria. But in Nigeria, they will not talk about Nigerian community in Nigeria. If today, let's say when there was riots, we were trying to stop the riots when lots of black youth were doing riot, back 2011, I think. How did they tackle that? They first started looking for the community leaders to speak to the youth. So they had to come back to the community because they talk the language of these guys. They know how they function. Even the police. Me, I don't know if you recall, I do work with IAG, which is an independent advisory group. So they approach us as community leaders to see how the police and the other part of government are working with the communities, us representing the community. We can see how to tackle issues easily.
I agree.
Because sometimes the police come in our communities, they have this sense of rejection. They don't want to see them. They don't want the police to come. But when we play that bridge, we link the police and the communities to see how they can work together. So to work if she's today Prime Minister, she does not have to help set community. That would be, like you said, discrimination. She can't just say, I'm working with the black community. No. But there is somehow she can work with the black community to find a solution that is affecting
absolutely. Now, Philip, sorry, I think your overview of this is very well, it's very clear, and I agree with you. I just want to make a statement. Look at Trump and the MAGA movement. A lot of people initially, the 2020, when and his first leading up to his first presidency, we called him a racist because a lot of white people were making statements like this. Now, when it comes to a political figure, there's a difference, and I think this is where we get ourselves entangled with certain facts and situations. Kemi had been appointed a leader of a Tory party that is very diverse, right? So, as a Nigerian, a lot of people, I had people, congratulations, and I was like, congratulations for what? I'm not even in support of Kemi. They just assumed because I'm Nigerian, I'll be jubilating. No, she means nothing to me. I'm not even a member of the Tory party. I'm not even going to vote for her. However, from her own standpoint, she is representing. So the only thing I feel where I fault her is her not acknowledging her heritage and just acknowledging the fact that people from the Nigerian community are happy and celebrating with her. But I don't think she should accord them like they are expecting some special treatment. That's all I'm saying. So there's this mindset that, oh, now we have a Nigerian in there. You know, a lot of things will go well. We're going to start having, you know, maybe she'll make them have jobs. She, you know, I don't know. She'll create more opportunities for them. It should be by merit. If you're Nigerian, the door is open. Whatever you get, whatever you know you're aiming or dreaming about, follow the process and get it. So to expect that because then she's a Nigerian, she's going to welcome, give them a special treatment and invite them to her office and check, you know, I think this is, like you said earlier, is our expectation. And look at the party that she belongs to. It's a conservative party, you know. So whilst we have this expectation that the community is there. You're right. I'm part of a Nigerian community group here in Luton, and we do stuff and we invite the politicians. But if I'm representing Luton, I'm not going to come out and make statements or I shouldn't be expected to carry the Nigerian community, even as part of the Nigerian as the member of the Nigerian community, carry them at the forefront of my goal of what to achieve. It should be for the community, which includes for the entire community, which includes the Nigerian community, which includes all the communities. That's just I think it's just how it's played. We're playing with words here as well, but it's in her strategy, in her plans. Maybe her plans, she planned to help everybody, and that includes the Nigerian community. So she'll create opportunities through her office. How do we tackle the issues that the Nigerian community are facing through their leaders or whatever? Let them have access to any support that the office will provide. So I'm sure all of that will be there. But is that expectation? However, that takes, you know, we haven't got much time. I think the issue that we were also we're looking at two things. Should she be pressured? You know, does she it's her treatment or her response to these Africans or Nigerians celebrating with her a good thing or not? We've kind of looked at that, but also acknowledging her heritage through by means of doing that, I think is where well, personally I think she's at fault.
No, first of all, she, as you said, Neka, she during one of her interviews, she made it clear that she was born here in Wimbledon and she went to Nigeria. And when she came back, she is where she became working class. Even though there was a debate, even though
Yeah,
there was a debate around there. So I think with regard to her origins, even though she's not acknowledging, but we know that it's from Nigeria. She was born here, grew up in Nigeria. She's still going to be part of an inspiration to many,
yeah.
many of us, many of people of our African community.
Totally agree.
Similar to Obama as well. Obama acknowledged his heritage, and he will still be an inspiration to many. Talking about Conservative Party, we know that British Conservative parties always intertwine with colonial past. we all know that.
Yeah.
And the wealth of Britain came from forced labor. And when we talk about forced labor there, you know, the reflection is around, transatlantic slave trade.
Yeah.
We know all that. And she is the leaders of that party. So look the criteria for selections. How many people were from in terms of contest? It was quite. This is a British party. I would say within a year, how many leaders? I think within 4 years since Brexit, since 2006 up to now, how many leaders that they've had? So all of them, in terms of they're trying to match, we're gonna represent our interest.
Yeah.
normally she's going to represent the interests of British politics, British country, which is normal for her to present himself. It's quite interesting. I think one of you mentioned that. I think you try to avoid that. One of the Labour politician, member of parliament, compare uh, uh, Kemi Badenoch to
A
a
first, a white supremacist.
supremacy with
Yeah,
a blackface. That was quite
with a
severe.
blackface. I think that was a bit
Blackface.
too harsh.
It was too high, too
The-
severe. But I think it was the way to say that
Can,
she's not representing black
but
people.
I just want to point out something. That's a very good point. So this is
Mhm.
John Butler, who's a member of the Labour Party. Now, if we look at the Tory, the Conservative Party history, the most party that is diverse in terms of leadership, in the top leadership, it's always been the Tory Party. We've had an Indian prime minister, although I know he didn't go through the normal election process. We've had we've had women in the past. Labour's never had any. Labour, even at the top, ministerial leadership role, the diversity is very poor. So for someone like Dawn to make a statement like that in the party, for a party who would elect a Nigerian, a non-white British, not the first. I think that's a bit on. It's a very silly remark in my view, because the Labour Party, looking at the makeup and the way they play their games, minority are not all that very welcome at certain level.
Historically, the left generally worldwide.
Even the Labour Party don't have the left anymore. Let's face it. I mean, they're very centrist at the moment, and is this very again British. They still, in my view, I might be wrong, not in all aspects, but looking at their choice of leaders and how they go through the leadership process, I think the Labour Party have more colonial mindset. And this is a bold statement I'm making, a bit racist when it comes to the leadership choice, because in the Tory Party we've seen an Indian leader, we've seen MPs. The first police PP, is it PCC or PC, whatever, was a black man from Nigeria as well. So we haven't seen that in Labour. Why is that?
The thing is, I think many who agree with me, worldwide, in the terms of global agenda, the left, Labour Party, they've always been close to the marginalized countries. They were always advocating for the independence, sovereignty to colonial countries, the Labour Party, generally. That's why you've seen everywhere you go, even in France, in Germany, in Belgium, here, people of minority, they're always close to Labour Party because they fought for us, for them.
So automatically,
they do join their policies. So that's why Labour, including here, they're not trying their best to get attention from the marginalized.
To portray their legacy to have that reflected in their overall appearance.
Exactly. However, if you look into Tories, conservative now, they're trying to be moderate, but generally, the general
we know their policies is one thing, but it's based on their policies. But still, they don't have a racist agenda. They don't, given at the makeup of their team.
No, they don't. If you look here, Tories, they don't have the racist agenda, but they very close to.
They just have a conservative,
very close to the colonial past. So the conservatives,
same with Tory, same with Labour, right,
very close to colonial past. If you listen to Churchill, Churchill is the more pro colonialist. Churchill, even Kemi Badenoch, she's trying to even to inspire. She said that one of her models is Churchill, so it's very close. However, the Labour Party, the left, they are not very close much to the colonial past. unlike Tories. So that's why
I think that's where, if I can take that a bit further, but that's because within Labour, the current Labour that I know, there's like different factions. So you have the left, the extreme left. You have likes of Jeremy Corbyn who are pro-republic, but the current Labour Party are very much, when it comes to the colonial, their stance on the colonial, powers or whatever, their colonial history, they're the same. Keir Starmer said just a couple of weeks ago when we talked about reparation, he said exactly the same thing as what Kemi Badenoch is saying. He's what he said and what Rees Mogg said a couple of days ago. It's exactly the same thing. They have the same stance. So why are black people even? I mean, I don't want to say what party I support, but I'm like you rightly said, a lot of black people automatically go with Labour because yes, they've always been seen, and that was in the past. They've been seen as the party that fights for the common man, for the ordinary people, unlike the elite party, which is what we've always associated the Tory, and I think they still are because of their policies and stuff like that. But if we're talking about representation and diversity, Philip, are you still there? Yeah, yeah, and diversity. So I'm going to give you a chance to speak now because we're coming to the end of the show. I think the Tory party, and I think Labour need to do better. That's my view.
Yeah,
but
you're right there. If you see the amount of the rate of ethnic minority that go for Labour compared to how much Labour is promoting ethnic minority within the Labour leadership,
yeah,
Labour has a lot to do. It's
absolutely.
still behind because the Conservative, even though they don't have that much support of ethnic minority, they are promoting minority better than Labour that profit more for minority. So they really have a lot to do. They are really behind compared to Conservatives.
Yeah.
When it comes to women, when it comes to black people, when it comes to Asians, Labour are still behind compared to Conservative.
Yeah.
But Labour is the one that profits the most from this
absolutely
population at the election. So Labour is is a left-wing party, so it's all about fighting for the people, like the trade unions. You have so much that Labour must stand for, but we as black people, as a minority, toward the leadership of the Labour, we're not feeling it. So they have a lot to do. They have a lot to do to promote black people within their party, within their leadership, so we can see it. For now, we're not really seeing it, but they are benefiting from it, like I said.
Yeah. Well, we've come to the thank you, Philip, for that. We've come to the end of the show. It's been a very interesting conversation today. Just looking at the highlight of the last couple of weeks or days, because Trump only won a couple of days ago. So now we're going to have another 4 years of the Trump presidency. So brace yourself. We're not quite sure what to expect, but we kind of looked into how the Trump's presidency is going to impact, or what kind of policies Trump will make, and how that will impact the African continent overall. And also Kemi Badenoch being the first black leader in any UK political party, and the controversies and the hits that she's getting from her people. So it's been a very interesting conversation. And our next show, we're going to be having a guest with us. We're going to be looking at some of the other interesting news with the whole reparation thing, South Africa, Nigeria fighting. I mean, there's a whole lot to unpack there. So we are, going to be back with more interesting conversation. So do follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or on TikTok, and leave your comments. Tell us what you'd like to see more on the show. We are here to bring you to work with you and bring you some interesting conversations. Have a happy weekend, and thank you.
Thank you.